Welcome back to another episode of Who Should You Choose, the video series where I go through the prior videos, questions, and comments and help you with your hot lineup decisions. The Four Nations face-off is about to get underway on Wednesday with Canada versus Sweden. And again, obviously, those fantasy cards are ending 5 p.m. on Wednesday before the first game. So if you are looking to get in on that, you have very, very limited time. So just a heads up there. I already went over my rankings, the ones that I think might be interesting. Again, I don't expect any of them to get more than 2 goals. The at most are guaranteed 4 games, and this is not 3-on-3 like All-Star. This is 5v5. So who knows? I would love it if one of them popped off. I think that'd be really fun for the game, the community. But nonetheless, it is about to get underway. That being said, let's get into the questions and comments. So Rifle says, these objectives are ridiculous. 35 goals with a single player 4 times is insane for some mid MSPs. Yeah. I like the pathing. So you can clearly see that they're like, if you go to the store, even the 90,000 coin pack for a specific nation, and that gives you a card from that country, including the MSP, like that is in the pack pull options. And then it's like, okay, they want you to spend 90,000 coins. Now you've got a card put in your lineup. Now you can go play with them and get more, get the objectives done with that and work on that. The problem is that like the pathing is just an awful lot of just work. Again, I think it goes back to, at the end of the day, if you're in the room making the content and the pathing for it, it's like, how do we provide the content that we want to deliver and allow players to play in the way that they want to play? Because when you make someone have to score 35 goals with a specific card type or card, then that means offline or online is completely out the window. The amount of games you would have to play, let's say you're Division 2 or even Division 1, where like you technically you're the best of the player base, but you're going up against the best. And it really doesn't matter your skill level. It's very 50-50, right? Like, a point per game is usually like what's considered pretty good for your cards. So, well, that's 35 games maybe. It's just not really feasible. And anytime that you have an event where it's gate kept for online players, I just don't really think that's the way to do it. Not only that, for offline players, you're forcing them to take the cards out of the lineup. Just because they play offline, that doesn't mean that they have an advantage. It just means that they now have to use players that they might not be interested in. And I think that's just a big, big misstep. I sorely think that this game needs to go away from the objective format and go to an XP format where if you can track XP with the individual cards, then you can do it that way. So instead of it being 35 goals, it's 1,000 XP with Canadian players. So that could be a hit, a shot, a game played. Like, until we go to that format, these objectives and the way that EA NHL releases content is just 5 years old. I think that's the reality of the situation. I know I talk about MLB a lot, and I will talk about MLB a lot because it's a game I enjoy, but it's also like the other sports game that I follow the most. And for anyone that plays that game, that was a format that they went to years ago, but specifically in MLB 21, the parallel system, where if you use a card, you get XP with that card, and then it can go up in overall. And this isn't just for certain special cards. It's literally every card in the game. You want to use the base boss and Red Sox, the live series cards, you could just play with them a ton, get them to parallel 5, and now they have a +5 across the board. I don't even think EA needs that. I think that they just need, hey, if you could do everything XP based as opposed to just counting stats where it's monotonous, that's the real game changer. And I don't know how or when they're ever going to develop the tech to be able to do that, because it feels like that's so far away. There is guys, there is a 86 overall set, so you trade in a couple 84 overall player items and you get an 86 overall Four Nations player item. That's the way that you should start it. But like this person mentions here, the fact that you got to score 35 goals with 4 different players is just, that means that objective path is just out the window. And all you're getting what you're getting for that is an 88 overall, which is expensive and necessary, and then essentially another 88 overall. So like, it's just it's brutal. You got to go rookie squad battles and just play the timeout. I think it's awful. So slow progression is nice, but the hollows and X factors need to get upgrades. Fox as an 86 is still dumb. So we're talking about progression, and I think overall for the game it is good. Because again, when we get to 99 hut, the game is over. You're not playing anything that closely resembles what Versus is. And Versus is the way the game is intended to be played. And if you go back and play Versus later on, even if you do it right now, you'll probably enjoy it more than what HUD is right now because we're into the 90s, right? And Versus is a lot more balanced. Okay, so and you might not, but like that's usually the consensus. And then as we get into 99 overall, where everyone is 99 shooting, not even speed, just 99 shooting, hitting, all of that. It's just everything is all the way to the max. Goals are just to the max, hits are to the max, and it ends up not being anything that you resemble playing the game early on. And so the slower progression is nicer. I personally, until they go to a build system where a 99 sniper is not 99 stats across the board. It's 99 shooting and maybe body checking's capped at 75, but the card is 99 overall because the stats individual for that player are weighted differently, as well as like a grinder can get to 99 body checking, things like that, but maybe their shot is capped at 80 or 75, things like that. Until we get to that, I don't know how they're going to fix the progression. What they need to do though is drag the year-long cards up every month. That was something that the old content team did really well, where first of all, every icon got a +1 upgrade blanket across the board. A little boring, I'll be honest with you, and you kind of knew it was coming. And for a lot of time, they were all far behind progression, but at least it guaranteed to keep those cards relevant. With the lack of guarantee, like I mentioned, I don't know if X Factors, like maybe there's only 2 series of X Factors. Like I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they pivoted. Like that's what it feels like to me. It feels like, okay, we have X Factor McDavid, and in 2.5, 3 months we're gonna release X Factor Austin Matthews. Okay. And it's like, hey, we've seen this content team do this a number of times where they're like, you know what, let's just change things up. We saw it with Team of the Year or Team of the Week. They released collectibles and made it very simple. And they're like, nah, let's go to the trading and overall format for whatever reason. They really changed things up at the last minute. And there's, like I said, it's always been a matter of no planning. And it feels like something's happening here. Unless like, October, November, December, January, if there was only 3 X Factors, then we should be getting the next one like now. And maybe we will. I don't know. But I'm not really sure. Corner says, it's like EA is putting these X Factors in a wild card to check the community reactions or something. The objectives were horrible this week. 35 goals per nation. Had to play rookie squad battles with one player over and over. The moment's giving random 86s instead of a 4 nations card, like usual, just adds to it. Keep the good work. Yeah, the moment it feels like it's a mistake because you're right. It's a random 86 overall player item. The random 680 overall player item does nothing because it's 84 and above. So you're basically making that card the same value as an 84, which is awful. And it can't be used to trade in for an 88. So I'm not really sure. Again, I don't like this format of events. I think at the beginning of the year, it's interesting because at the beginning of the year, let's think back, right? The beginning of the year, something that I enjoyed at the very early launch of the game is that everyone had an influx of coins because of those early on milestone objectives that are just gone. And you could try out other master set player items, and they were relatively cheap because the overalls were only 85, right? So you could still pull a lot of them. The issue here is that once we're getting higher and higher, 88s are hard to pull. Like 86s are easier to pull. Like they are inherently going to be more common in the game, obviously, right? And when you make the cards have to cost 88 overalls now, it's just very expensive, right? And I don't think it progresses the right way. So again, I think the event, it's so funny. I think the 4 Nations event is a great event. I think the delivery is just, like, I feel like I've said this like 4,000 times this year. Like, we got fantasy cards, we got relevant and good master set player items, and we have a mechanic where it's like, okay, there's 92 overalls that are coming where you have to collect some, like, all good. And it just feels lackluster. Ace Slaves, I just wanted to point out that the fantasy cards, I think Gensel and Marner, have significantly more value than Line A. Most people would prefer Line because of his size and shot, but he's only really guaranteed 3 games because I can't see Finland going to the final with their major defense issue. Gensel, on the other hand, I think is guaranteed 4 games because USA is just way too stacked to not make the final. Because the tournament is so short, having 4 games instead of 3 actually makes a huge difference. Thanks for reading this. I just wanted to help you and the others out with this tip. I completely agree. Getting an extra game obviously adds infinitely more odds to that player doing well. I need to be clear here. If any of them score more than 2 goals, that's exceptional. And if they get to 92, that's maybe a +1 increase to skating. They more than likely won't get 2 because it goes up by 0.5. So are any of you are you excited about any of them? There's a world, like I said, where like Gensel's playing with Matthews and Hughes. Gensel's a great player. I feel like Matthews just gonna, wants to show on the big stage that he's got something. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just not really sure in this tournament. It being only 4 games makes these cards hard. This is why I said, do the fantasy event cards. Again, they listened. It's always like they listen to the overarching idea. Not that I had any impact on them making fantasy items. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like they take the sentiment of like, yeah, fantasy cards. But it's like if you just made it points, like now we're cooking, because it makes Marner have a shot. Like all these guys, hey, maybe they get a couple points, and now we're talking. And I think that would make the cards crazy fun. I still don't think anyone's hitting 9 points in the tournament. Maybe. Everyone's expecting this to be like the All-Star. First of all, the All-Star's 3-on-3, and they are almost all hungover. No one's playing defense. While no one might care super hard, putting a jersey on of the country that you rep, that means a little bit more than an All-Star jersey. On top of that, it's 5-on-5. So there is something to it where it is going to be more difficult to score. I just realized there's no 86 Canadian players. So the only way you can do the Four Nations objectives is if you pick Taves and pulled Canada 88 or buy one in the auction house. Another example of the content team not playing the game. I thought I saw a comment where there was a way to get an 86 Canadian player. Memory, I'm blanking on this. I apologize. But yeah, tough. Sleep at the wheel here a little bit. Hey, Sleeves, I absolutely appreciate your ability to take feedback and adjust your content in relation to that this year. No question, just a comment. I really hope you continue to do your gameplay breakdowns and your No Money Spent videos. Until your most recent one, where I could watch it in replay, it had never truly clicked for me, at least in NHL 25, that you should not have your body in the way of a pass and that you want the animation to trigger for you to intercept a pass. On D, especially my opponent is on the rush, my brain always wants to put my D-man shooting the facing the shooter and skating backwards, and now I see how I was giving up the forced cross crease goals. Even then, I thought I was in a good defensive position. It really emphasizes what you say all the time about playing the game versus what I think are natural hockey plays. I hope I wasn't the only one who benefited because with Wildcard, I've been more inclined to finally start playing Rivals on a regular basis. Appreciate the kind words. If you haven't watched my latest No Money Spent video, I spent a lot of time this week and I broke down a game of mine. And I'm not a great player, guys. My peak of NHL was probably NHL 21, maybe even NHL 15. That was like the last time I cracked top 100 versus leaderboards. I really never even cared about HUT until NHL 18, and I realized that I had to for what my job was going to be. But like I'm Division 1 player, but I get there in August now, as opposed to getting to Division 1 in October and then just staying there the whole year. That being said, I like to think because of the years of covering the Game World Championship and being very close with many of the best players in the world. I've gotten to hang out with Eki a number of times and shoot, kind of talk shop. I can understand what makes a good player in this game, and whether my brain and my thumbs want to do it, that's besides the point. But if I can articulate it correctly and give it the feedback to you guys, there's a lot of you out there that are much smarter and a lot faster reactions and can read stuff a lot faster if you have the information. So more like a coach, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. But yeah, one of the big things that I've realized and that people just don't expect, like I'll get clips of how is this pass getting through, and there's a guy right in the passing lane, and the problem is at 99 passing, right? Your passes are faster than they are ever, right, in the game, and you don't notice this, but the game takes that into account in the background. I've been to EA. I've seen the gameplay dev when he's got like the calculations going on, which is like the most nerd stuff, but I loved it. and you can actually see like what everything's being calculated in real time. And there are things that happen in the background that you don't see that, whether it leads to an intercept or an animation, things like that. One of the biggest misconceptions is when your player is in the passing lane, that's where you want to be. Not the case. You want your player to have their stick in the lane to give them an animation shot at. Obviously, if you crouch block or dive block or things like that, that's going to change the thing. But if you want to intercept a pass, your stick has to be the thing there. You will, in NHL 25, way more than 24. 24 was ruined because there was just no animations being made to intercept the puck. In this game, your player will actually make a reach with this stick a little bit more. It's far more noticeable. If you go back and play 24, I promise you, NHL 25 is not a great game. I've talked about this, like the meta for this game. I've really come to kind of dislike a lot. But when you play 24, in the terms of intercepting passes, it's night and day. And that's one thing that I noticed, and I saw a lot of replies in my No Money Spent video that was like kind of game changing for them, for a lot of players to see that, like, okay. And the other thing is you back straight into your goalie defending a 2-on-1. I promise you guys, if you don't turn around or at least make a motion where your player can look at the puck carrier, you're just asking for it to either bank off the goalie. It has to just perfectly hit your skates because they're not going to make an animation to block a pass, and that's why it just gets force fed through, even though you're in the way technically. You also need, you can also use the 486 Four Nations choice pack when you trade in 384 overalls, and you can choose whatever country you need to finish the objectives. Yeah, like this is what I was mentioning earlier. I don't think there's a Canadian one. It's Tuesday today. I guarantee we're going to get a Canadian one for that. So next up, dude, it's so weird. I want to hate you for promoting this game. I can't stand other content creators, but after watching all of your videos, all of you, man, you're one of my favorite content creators. And my wife will hear it in the background and ask if I'm watching Sleeves. So I wanted to bring this comment up because when I did the Four Nations captain thing, I'm very critical of EA. And I've talked about this, how I've turned down paid gigs from EA this year because of my my disagreement with how things are being run or being done, specifically from the content side of things. And when it comes to the captain thing, I got like the sellout, the bootlicker, all of those comments, all of what I expected. However, EA came to me and said, "Hey, do you want to give away some stuff to your community?" Sure. Like that's the reality of it, right? Like, yes, I would like to, which will be coming. Every time Canada wins the Four Nation Face-Off tournament, I get to give away stuff. I'll probably do it on Twitter, guys, because I'll be at the Four Nations. I'm leaving on Thursday. They play on Wednesday, and then they play on Saturday. I believe that's Canada, USA, if memory serves. I can't remember. I don't know if they play 3 times in Montreal or twice, but nonetheless, every time they win, if they win, they're gonna, then I will do a giveaway. It's probably gonna be on my Twitter. My Twitter link is down below, and I'll make a post. You guys reply, and I haven't seen the exact giveaway list, but it looks like potentially might be jerseys or controllers or some other like sweaters, swag kind of stuff. So it's cool stuff. Anyways, when it comes to promoting the game, here's the misconception people don't understand. I want the game to be good, okay? And I want the game to get hyped over things that they should be hyped about. Team of the Year, for example, right? Like I did that clip with Corwin, which was a lot of fun. I wasn't super like stoked to do it. However, Team of the Year is a very fun event for the community, and I wanted to at least get some light. I wanted to get some juice, in terms of excitement here. What you won't ever see me do is talk about, hey, you guys should buy packs, because I've proven over the last couple of years you can play the game, and especially this year, very minimally, and you never have to spend money on the game, regardless of how much you play. And if you do, be my guest, but it is the way that you initiate change, by not spending money on the game, and I will always preach that because, we play the game all year round, and some of this stuff can trigger gambling, for a lot of people. They don't realize it, and you won't see me do that. So I'm, again, I will be very critical of EA when they deserve to be criticized. But if they have an opportunity where, I get to give away some stuff, I'm all for it, man. Like I get to give away stuff to my viewers, and that was why. So anyways, hey Sleeves, is it just me, or does it feel like right-handed players are worse at center than lefties? I don't know if it's worth it to move Coyle to fantasy hockey to center or to keep him on the wing. My man Nuge, whoever is an OG that remembers Nuge, could only use right-handed faceoffs. I used to hate right-handed faceoffs. This is all more than likely the reason or the handedness you play in real life. It's actually like awkward. I'll give you another example in MLB. For whatever reason, I can't hit lefty on lefty, or when I'm playing the game, it feels very weird, which is so stupid because you're not controlling your player, you're just controlling the bat. I don't know if it's because I'm a righty in real life, but there is something to it. Like I'm a lefty, lefty stick in real life in hockey, and I've definitely found it more comfortable to use the left hand on the faceoffs. It's just something you have to get comfortable to. So, great video. I'm captivated by your comment on number of cards. You should do some research and come up with the exact number of cards and tell us. I want to know. I wonder how few less cards we got compared. I agree it's probably really low, but with that being said, I love power forwards, and this year they have so many. So I'm still kind of happy with the content just because of that. Other years where they were so scared to make big players. They definitely know the formula to an exciting card in NHL 25. Like Hut Champs cards, like they're all big meta players because they know that's the type of player they want. Whether they're interesting or exciting players, that's to be be determined. But they definitely have an understanding of what like made a good hockey player or a good card in this game. When it comes to the amount of cards, I could do some little research here and take a look at cards year over year. I'm gonna say it's thousands less. First of all, we used to have 5-day content. And second of all, team of the week alone is 6 players as opposed to a full lineup of 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 2 goalies, right? So that's 20 players right there. So every week at least, that's 14 less cards just right there, right? So I don't know. I think it would be very, very low. There's no prime times or live moments anymore. There's just a lot less. And less doesn't mean that, less it's not necessarily a bad thing, but the cards that do come out have to be far more impactful. And I guess there's an argument that they are a little bit better because if you go back and look at those years where they just released thousands of cards, a majority of them were like 78 or 80 overalls in January, which were just completely ignored. But specifically for like European players or theme team items, like there just isn't a lot. So, but good talk, guys. Again, I will be leaving for the Four Nations on Thursday, so I will have 2 more Who Should You Choose videos. I'll have tomorrow, and then I'll record one Wednesday night to upload on Thursday. I'll also do a ranking video that'll come out on Thursday, I believe, but I won't be doing an event breakdown until Sunday night when I get home. If you want to tune into the event that I'm doing, I believe it's 3:30 Eastern Time on Friday on the NHL's YouTube channel. I will be casting the Creator Skills, which is a 3-on-3 USA Canada creator event. So Nasher will be on Team USA, Coach Chippy will be on Team Canada, and I'll be the voice and host of it. So extremely nervous. It's my first time doing play-by-play of a real-life game, and it needs to go well so I can get invited back. But thank you guys again for all the support, and I will see you guys then. Thank you guys again for watching. Peace out.